For the aluminum parts of the Proton Pack, I am resin printing them on my Elegoo Saturn 4K, and I'm just going to kind of show you the process on how I get it off the bed and clean the parts up and show you what they look like after the fact and how they look on the pack. I don't have all of them printed, but this will give you a nice rough idea of what I'm doing and what you can do if you want to get a movie accurate looking 3D printed Proton Pack. To get the model off of the bed, I just squirt on a little bit of 90% isopropyl alcohol. This just helps me get my putty knife underneath the model to scrape it off of the bed. This is how I give my resin pieces a little wash. Just kind of swirly around in there. The 90% alcohol really gets all of the excess resin off. It's very, very strong alcohol. I just kind of wipe it down a little bit. That's it pretty much. And I kind of dry it, pull off the supports. Sometimes all the supports won't come off. They kind of stick to it. And then I'll have to come back with a Dremel tool and get all the flashing off. Looks beautiful. So for the curing process on all the Proton Pack parts, I'm just going to show you how I do it, starting with this ion arm here. It'll be the same for all the pieces. I have this cheap little UV cure kit that I bought off of Amazon. I'll link it below. And literally I just set it on top of there after I dried it and got most of the alcohol off of it. This is literally the cardboard box that this kit came with. And I just cover it. I lined it with some foil. I cover it up. It has like its own solar powered little panels on the side. You'll take your UV light like so, and then I cover it. And when the UV light hits it, you can see it kind of starts to turn it. And then it reflects off the foil. And that's what cures it. I'll let that sit for, I don't know, maybe half hour or so. So this has been baking here for a minute. We're gonna see how it looks. Oh yeah, feels nice and toasty. Look how good those welds look. Man. I even tried to get the direction of the welds correct in the modeling software. It's going to look amazing. Look how good that's gonna look. Oh man, I'm getting excited. The resin that I use for the Proton Pack parts, the main resin, is by a company called Tech. This is their build resin, which is a very strong resin. It reminds me of a 1630 resin, which is like a professional grade, industrial grade resin that's used for movie props and tons of other things outside of the movie industry. It is a very, very strong UV resin. With all the resin printing going on, I resin printed these 4mm elbows. If you guys don't know, these are kind of like holy grail parts for the Ghostbusters Proton Pack, specifically the 1984 pack. They're almost impossible to find. If you look closely, you'll see the stamp on the top of it with the 4mm Legrees. This model came from Julio de Alonso, Proton Pack design on Etsy. I'm using some of his smaller parts for my build, like these, which are just screen accurate parts that can be resin printed, and it just looks incredible. What makes it even better is they come in 3 different parts. So the bottom brass portion, which attaches in here like so, and you could turn it on it like that. And then you have this part. You can see even has the bevel detail, which goes in like so. And there we go. We have screen accurate 4mm elbows for our Proton pack. Amazing design. Big shout out to Alonzo for doing these. They are amazing. Thank you. His Legree straights are also amazing and screen accurate. And you can see that little bevel there on the hose connector. Just incredible. These are going to look super realistic once added to the Proton pack. Wanted to showcase how good the clipboards are coming out. The bottom portion is resin printed. This top portion, the cap, is FDM printed. And I'm using a, I think it's called G-Tech silk metallic PLA. And that is just a regular gold PLA, but it looks so real. The 701 I'm going to use for the wand here, but you can just kind of get an idea of just how good that looks. Amazing. So it's really coming together. I also did the ribbon cable clamps in metallic. Looks pretty good to me. I'm really trying with this build, guys, to use as much 3D printed parts as possible to see if I can keep this on a budget. I still think I'm probably going to spend around $500 on electronics, metal motherboard, Alice frame, and various other little parts. But for all the smaller greeblies, like this infilter I just printed out, look how good that looks. So this is resin printed. Look at those welds. These welds I added in ZBrush, and they look perfect to like a TIG weld. On the screen used Proton packs used in the movie, a lot of these parts were welded like so. Very similar. So that's going to go on there, and then I'm going to resin print like the vac tube, beamline, filler tube. I just showed you guys the ion arm. I'm trying to keep it as 3D printed as possible. I want to see how screen accurate we can get a 3D printed Proton pack to look without completely breaking the bank. The 84 HasLab pack kind of hurts a little bit because you pretty much get a full pack for almost close to $500 with the wand, and I have a feeling I'm going to spend close to that on this build. But even with that, this is going to look so much more movie accurate and so much more closer to what you see in the movie than the HasLab pack or the Hasbro Pulse pack, whatever they want to call it now, which is more like a collector toy, and it just looks more like a toy. This is going to look a lot more realistic and better, I think. But I'm going to add all that up. Once the build's done, I'm going to add everything up and show you guys exactly how much I've spent. That's it for the video. Appreciate you watching, and we're on to the next one. Thank you, guys.